good, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Michael, and today we're going to be talking about, is buying a name brand specifically for gym equipment worth it? And rather than just telling you, I want to show you and walk through an example. So while I'm grabbing the camera right now, I want to make a disclaimer, which is that the quality between brands, name brand or not, will vary. So you might be asking, well, what's the point of you doing name brand versus not name brand? And my answer to that is, if they have a name brand, that means they've already established a reputation and are looking to improve upon that. Whereas if it's a no brand, for example, this particular machine, there's literally zero branding. They're not trying to build a brand, a business long term. They're just trying to sell a product. And so the way you approach this machine as far as selling it is going to be quite different. So I got quite a bit of things to go over, so I'll try to make it as quick as possible. The first thing that stands out immediately is that this thing is rusting a lot, and particularly on the welds, but also on the chrome. Hopefully you can see that, and even some parts where it's not. And you might be asking, well, how did that happen, Michael? That makes no sense. It happened because of the shipping. And that's the first point I want to make, is that the shipping and how they package these machines is going to vary. It could literally just be all taped together, thrown in a crate and sent to you. In which case, the pieces are going to be hitting each other and your product's going to be damaged before it even gets there. But the paint finish is another one, right? Like you can see it's on this piece of foam right here. If it wants to focus, there's a piece of foam right there. And the powder coat's already getting marked off from foam. How does that make sense? I don't know. Now, we talked about paint. We talked about shipping. We talked about, I don't know what else we talked about. But another point that I want to hit is assembly, right? Now, you can have step-by-step plan, or you can have a one-page exploded view. Pros and cons to each, but if you have a machine like this where there's 50-plus components, you don't want all of that in one page. You know, all of that just exploded with some lines. That's going to be too hard to follow for anybody, but especially if somebody's never put the thing together before. And there's a lot of missing touches. Like, look at this. This grip ripped. How did that happen? Well, this is probably a compression fitting, if I had to guess, just meaning that they took the grip, put some compressed air in between that and the steel, and then slipped it on real quick, but it wasn't the right material, and it ended up ripping. This came with no set screw, so of course it's going to spin and move. This one fell off. That one's got the same issue. These collars spin despite the bolt not spinning, and it's not a matter of the set screw not being tightened because it is already tightened all the way, and yet they still pull out. There's a lot of missing touches. Another point I want to talk about is tolerance. Now, you'll notice that this thing tracks up and down on these guide rods, one on either side. These are in contact, as they should be, with the guide rod. These rollers are not in contact with the tube, which essentially defeats the purpose of these being here, other than just being a bounding box that allows this whole rig to shift as you're doing the movement. Doesn't inspire confidence. I used it anyways, just inspecting the machine periodically to make sure everything was okay. And I felt things shift and they weren't moving properly. Got off of it, thank God, because I noticed this. And there's one on the other side as well. I apologize, my autofocus is complete garbage right now. But this guide rod is severely undersized, or at least this thing is not in the right position. And so the length of this bolt, you're only catching like 2 threads maximum that are engaging on this guide rod.
And that's an issue. That is a huge issue. That's a safety concern. This is an 8mm plate. I can't tighten that down enough to bend the 8mm plate, nor would I want to because it's welded on as a tab. Now, you'll notice that, before this thing was shifted, and that is a part of the assembly process. What I mean by that is if I let that bolt go, I know for a fact this shit's going to turn into a twisted haunted house real quick. Do you really want to be putting your safety in the hands of a machine that doesn't even want to stay together itself? Hopefully the answer is no. Hopefully you'll love yourself. Now, they do have some cool features. Like, for example, they have these handles here because you can pick it up and you can roll it as a wheelbarrow. But again, they're missing certain things, like practical things. For one, this thing is big as frick. I don't know if you could tell that, but look at this. I'm 5'11", and this thing is almost as tall as me. That's the first thing. And the wheels are so small, you actually have to tilt it a ton. It's very hard to maneuver, heavy. And they put the weight horns on the back side, which means if you're going to wheelbarrow this thing, all of your plates are going to fall right off. We'll put some clips on it. Again, do I really want to be wheelbarrowing a ton of weight and risk it falling forward as well? No. So, good concept, probably not the right product for it. Now, something I want to talk about is this distance. A weight plate slides fine onto this side, but if I go to the other side and I try to put on a weight plate, I don't know if you can tell or not, but this gap isn't in fact smaller. The only way I can get a plate on is if I push this way while sliding the plate on. How did you miss that? Another example. Here's a pop pin. Watch this. I'm going to loosen this up. By the way, this has taken too long in my opinion. Okay, now I'm going to pull this. And now, just did that so I didn't slam my fingers. I guess I couldn't put it here in the center. My fingers still slammed. Now, what I could do is grab this pad. And I only got one hand, so I'm not going to do it. But you'd put it up there, and now you could start to do hack squats. Except these safeties are adjustable, which is good. But even at the greatest range of motion, I still can't get a full range of motion. I am not absurdly tall. I'm not 6'7", and I'm not 5'4". I should be able to get a full range of motion on any normal exercise machine. That was definitely a miss in regards to the design of this machine. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this, and I'm going to put my hand back here and pull that pin. By the way, you can only do it that way. You can't reach here. You can't access it from the other side. So, I'm going to grab this. Camera's going wild because I don't have free hands. Now, I'm going to start to slide this out, and it should lock back into place. And the leg press, great. Let's hit it, baby. Let's load this thing up. Yeah, buddy! Now, you notice something? It's not actually locked in place. They put a slot here, and yet, I don't know if you just saw that, and yet... Okay, there was no limit stop. That's an issue. My kid that doesn't exist is now dead because that just killed him. But, again, limitation of not having free hands. Let's put this bad boy in here. There you go. Ready to go? No, sir, we are not. Oh, shoot. Okay, I think I've demonstrated the point sufficiently enough, which is that the tolerance not only does not inspire confidence, it actually causes issues as well Namely being, and I only know this because I was an engineer in the space, that you see a machine and it says leg press, hack squat, holds 1,000 pounds. And you look at both of them and they look comparable. You can't really tell much difference. But this one is $1,000 cheaper than the other one. That's a lot of money. But it's a no-brainer, right? They're just charging more for the brand name. Not always the case. Not always the case. And the reason for that is because when it comes to exercise equipment, it is literally the Wild West. And what I mean by that is that I can say this holds 1,000 pounds, but I don't have to prove that this holds 1,000 pounds, right? Now, if I'm a good business owner, I'm not only going to test it to 1,000 pounds one time, I'm going to add a safety factor. So test it for more than 1,000 pounds for multiple reps to make sure it's okay. But as a customer, you don't know whether that's the case or not. And so when you buy a product like this, because companies aren't providing that documentation, you have to take a leap of faith. And there's a difference between taking a leap of faith and just taking a straight up risk. Every time I use this, I am straight up just risking my life. That might sound dramatic to you. I'm being 100% honest. So let me see if I can quickly review these things. I have it on my phone. Let's unlock it. So the first thing is shipping, whether the product's going to be damaged from the get-go or not. The second one, welding, rusting, chrome rusting, things like that. The third one is missing small touches, like are the weight plates going to slide on easily? Are the weight horns going to, spin or not? Are the wheels on the back of the thing to wheelbarrow it actually going to be practical? Does the range of the motion of the machine actually work as it should? Is assembly easy or not? And the strength concern. Now you might be saying, Michael, that this is shocking. Certainly not all things are like that. And I want to agree with you. I can't because I haven't seen most things. But I'm trying to warn you. In any industry, there's typically multiple options that fall within three categories. The cheapest option, the name brand, like the prestige name brand, that's the most expensive. And then you have the best value option. I'm not trying to diss this machine. I haven't even told you where I got this machine. What I'm trying to tell you is not all machines are created equal. This is something you should intuitively know, but maybe don't know the full extent of. Now, I'm going to save this company even though I don't need to. Look at this dumbbell stand, okay? You could probably figure out what brand it is just by its shape. If you use power blocks, which is a very common dumbbell, and you want to lower the weight, the only way you can do that because of this edge flange is if you literally cut and refabricate the machine. I didn't do this. My brother did it, and he wasn't really going for aesthetics when he did it. But that proves a point that just because something is a name brand doesn't necessarily mean that it's better. So that's going to conclude the video. Hopefully you all stay safe out there and get your gains on, but do it in a smart way. And cheaper is not always better. I don't really know where I want to end this video, how I make it catchy at the end, but I do appreciate you all watching it this far. Certainly has been a long one, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace. Elites. Subscribe, please. Subscribe and like the video. Thank you.